it's gonna be spoiled. So sorry. And if you're not really interested in Helluva Boss or anything, it doesn't matter, because most of what I so the idea of behind Psychology for Geeks is that we blend hobbies and mental health, right? So then, for example, in this situation, I am going to be using the characters and relationships from the show Helluva Boss to talk about healthy and toxic relationships, right? So you don't necessarily have to have seen the show. It's a lot better if you have. I highly recommend it. It is not a kids show. I don't show it to kids. Um, but yes, it is a great show. Oh yeah, I was gonna tell you guys how I came across this show. I didn't. Somebody else told me about it. They said, "Do you want to do a do you want to do a panel with us? And it's gonna be on this." And I said, "Yes, of course. That would be so cool." And the way that it works, like when you apply to panels at conventions, you send them like months in advance, and you don't find out until like about a month before the convention happens. So like you don't really know if you're gonna get it or not. You just kind of like send it. And then so we got the two panels for that convention. We got Helluva Boss and Has Been Hotel, and those are the ones that I had signed up for, but I hadn't seen them. So then I had to binge watch them, which was usually that's my preferred method of watching things anyway, so it was great. But I kind of lost track of time because again I was so busy like doing stuff for the nonprofit that thank goodness my dad was in town and not like in Mexico, because he was able to drive me to LA where the convention was, and on the way there I was finishing watching like the episodes because I hadn't finished, and I just fell in love. And let me just tell you all about it. Okay, so that show, if you haven't seen it, it features Blitzo. Well, so in order of how you can see them, the first one is Millie, and then it's Moxxie and Blitz. It's a good thing I wrote the name. And they're essentially these. They are a company of like assassins that you just hire them to go and like kill people, and like there are other things like there's some like shenanigans and stuff that happens. It's like actually really funny. There's a lot of music that's amazing. However, the thing that I loved the most about the show was its relationships, and that's what I would like to talk about today. So there are a lot of different types of relationships that we can have, right? It's not only, or at least in this context, when I talk about like relationships, mainly it is going to be romantic relationships. But all of this, everything that I'm saying today, also applies to like friendships. It also applies to like if you're a mentor, if you are a sibling, if you are a boss. Get it? So there are good and bad relationships, right? And I think based on maybe how much how much time you spend on social media and where you spend your time in social media, you have heard about like the green flags and the red flags of like relationships, primarily romantic relationships. Like if he doesn't call you after like, I don't know, 3 days or whatever, then it's probably ghosting you. So that's a red flag in a relationship. If they're not respecting your boundaries, again, huge red flag. And part of what we need to understand about whether or not these things are good or not, the reason why I go on and on about how essential it is for us to have a community, it's because let me use this. So if I show you guys like this, you can kind of tell that it's like a piece of paper or something, right? We can't really. What? I'm not doing that right. So you can kind of tell that it's a booklet, right? But if let's say that this was a flag, right? Like when you're in front of it, like you can't really tell what this shape is until you turn it around, right? So people around you are able to tell that, hey, maybe that's a red flag. And that's why we need people who are supportive of us, but at the same time open and willing to let us know when we are making a mistake. And also, like, letting us know in a kind way, because I've met so many people that are kind of like, well, I just tell the truth. I just tell it how it is. And I'm like, yes, you can tell it how it is, but you don't have to be mean about it. Like, you can tell the truth, you can tell like how you feel or how you see the situation, but a lot of people just get very aggressive and mean when they're just telling it how it is, right? So those are things that we need to look out for when we're thinking of our community. But in order for us to, well, again, hold on, let me just move on to the next one. This is my favorite ship. This is my favorite. They're not actually a couple. And their relationship is actually very, very toxic. Not good. Do not recommend. It's getting better in the second season. It got better, like loads better, because now they're finally able to understand. So essentially, these two characters have known each other since they were kids. Essentially, there were so many circumstances that each of them had that affected the way they connected with other people, right? So it was about not being able to talk about their actual emotions, not being able to express them. Their communication is just the worst. Like, they're just not communicating. They're just kind of like, they feel really awkward about communicating what they actually mean or what they actually feel. So it just goes into like a bunch of different miscommunications that happen. They are so perfect for each other. I love them together. But it, like, just, there's so many things in their own sort of like personal life that made it really difficult, and or they just didn't really know how to connect, right? So Blitzo, he had a very sort of like traumatic upbringing, and then so he kind of learned that he had to go about it on his own, right? So he uses a lot of comedy to sort of like not talk about it. Like, he just makes mean comments to try to protect himself. And no, I forgot his name. Stolas. Yeah, oh, look at the is totally in love with Blitzo. And he's just so cute. But like, we get discovered this as the show goes on, right? But again, he also has like so many things in his life where like he never really learned how to have a good relationship. He was married, has a daughter, but he just kind of like did all that out of like duty. And then when he eventually was free and he worked through a lot of those things, now he wants to pursue a relationship. But again, it's like this really like their own individual circumstances have prevented them from connecting. And a lot of it is because they need to work on themselves first before they have a partner. And you might have friends or family members or know someone, colleague or whatever, who has always been in some sort of relationship, never alone, right? And they just sort of like jump from one relationship to another. That can potentially be have a negative impact on their relationships because they're not giving themselves enough time to work on themselves. I think our instinct is to always say something along the lines of well, you need therapy. You should go seek therapy because you have anxiety, because you have blah, blah, blah. You should do it. And I'm like, yes, but also ourselves. If you're in the relationship, you kind of also need therapy too. So if your partner needs therapy because they, you know, they're autistic, they have ADHD, or they're neurodivergent in some way, or they have previous traumatic experience or something that they would like to work on, it will also be helpful for you to go to therapy for you to learn the skills on how to connect with that person, on how to be patient, on how to fully support them. Because a lot of the times we have an idea of how we want to support the other person, but it's always my idea. And what if my idea of supporting another person is hugging them, and that is like the worst thing I can do? I say this all the time, and I kind of hoping my friend is not here to listen to this, but I have a friend who will say, told her partner, like, whenever I'm upset, just give me a hug and that makes me feel better, right? Whenever I'm upset, please do not give me a hug. I will just not, no, I don't need, like, it's too much sensory input for me when I'm upset. I need to be by myself alone until I can figure out what's happening in like my brain and my emotions. Right? So everybody has a different thing, but if we don't learn how to communicate, if we don't learn how to ask, like, what do you need, what can I do for you, and the other person never really learns how to like ask for their needs, then it's going to make it very challenging to be in a relationship with this person, whether it's friendship, whether it's a sibling sort of like bond, or a romantic relationship. It's just going to make everything a lot more difficult. One of the things that I did not say when I started this presentation is, like, if you have any questions pertaining to the topic, please write them in the comments, and I could answer them. And yes, please donate. Wait, by the way, point the other way. Yes, that's right here, up there. That's where you can donate. We have PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, and Zelle. Whatever you prefer. So I talked about how Blitzo and Stolas have the most toxic relationship I've ever seen. That's a lie. There's probably more toxic relationships on screen. But I want to compare it to, hold on. So Fitzarelli is the little bunny character here. And then, wait, who's this? Amadeus. No, Asmodeus. That's the wrong name. So Asmodeus and wait, what's his name again? Dang it. So it's Asmodeus and Fitzarelli. There you go. So they actually have a much better relationship than well, Blitzo and Stolas don't actually have a relationship. It's more a situationship kind of thing. They're both dancing around each other. They have improved. They've learned more about themselves. Why does the camera, like, what's the angle so weird? Or is it my hair that's like not even? Anyway, so Fitzarelli and Asmodeus do have a relationship. They're actually together. They can deny it to everyone, but they're just so freaking adorable together. And part of the reason why their relationship is actually way healthier than the situationship that's happening over here with Stolas and Blitzo is because Asmodeus is, I believe, like super ancient and like mega old. So he has much better communication skills than Fitzarelli. And so he's kind of guiding him into, like, this is how you have a conversation. This is how you have a healthy relationship with other people. And yeah. So their relationship is like way healthier. Right? So as long as one of the partners has a better understanding and can set expectations and boundaries with the other partner in terms of, like, hey, I really want to be with you, but you really need to work on your communication, or you really need to respect my boundaries, or anything along those lines. It's the relationship can be, it's kind of so on a scale from 1 to 10 being like the most healthy relationship you could ever be in, Fitzarelli and Asmodeus are probably like I don't know, like 7. Blitzo and Stolas probably like 2. They're like way down there. They are not. It's not a healthy relationship, right? because there's so much information as to what is a red flag in a relationship and what you should be okay with and not be okay with. I have heard a lot of younger couples talk about, well, yeah, he needs to text me right away. Like, he needs to be like available for me 24/7. Like, he needs to be doing X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, no, he don't. He doesn't need to be any of those things. Because that's not a healthy relationship. That is very much codependent. Your partner doesn't have to text you back ASAP. What if they're busy? What if they're doing something in the date or their phone died or whatever? Like, can't set those expectations. Like, we have to have boundaries for our partners and also have boundaries for ourselves. And the thing about boundaries as well is that when we set a boundary, we mention it to, like, our partner, and we say, hey, please don't eat my chocolate. If you want to eat chocolate, I will buy you more chocolate, but this is my chocolate, right? And they don't listen. It is up to you to sort of like reinforce that. Don't leave it in a place where the partner can easily accessible for them. Remind them once again that this is very important to you and you don't like sharing your chocolate. Like, you don't mind buying more chocolate for your partner, but please don't eat that chocolate that's yours. And it's really up to us. The other person may not understand the boundaries that we're saying, may not care, may forget. But so it's up to us to ensure that other people are respecting our boundaries. If you are spending time with someone who's not respecting your boundaries, it's completely okay for you to be like, peace out, I'll see you guys later. Then if they say, why are you leaving? Just come hang with us. And be like, no, I already talk about how, I don't want to talk about religion or politics when I hang out with you guys. You guys didn't listen to my boundaries. I'm just gonna go and we'll see you guys later. And hopefully you guys don't talk about the things that I said, please don't. So what are some things that classify as a toxic relationship or as a healthy relationship? You say, please write in the comments. Wait, can you guys still hear the music? I think I had like music on loop. There's a lot. I think I already went through some things that make a healthy versus unhealthy relationship. Let's talk about more. I can't think of anything right now. Okay, so I didn't mention this before because I totally forgot, but part of your donations will go towards improving our website, because right now it's a very amateurish website and I don't know how to include PDFs, and there's so many like free worksheets I want to have for you guys to just download and use. And one of them is this worksheet that I created where I have a bunch of questions that if you are with a partner and you're thinking of like being in a serious relationship, or you are in a serious relationship, these are all things that you need to consider. But I just don't know. Like, a friend of mine helped me I think there's two resources that are like PDFs in there, but it's kind of like weird. But yeah, that's where your money will go because we really need to pay for a website builder, because right now we're working with like the bare minimum and I'm not able to share as many resources as I wish I did. So there's a lot of I think I'm just gonna focus more on what makes a healthy relationship, right? Talking about respect. It can be very difficult for you to ask your partner for respect if you don't fully understand what it means to respect yourself. Sometimes we grow up in environments that make it very difficult for us to understand that there are certain needs that need to be met when we're in a relationship. So we don't really know that we need to be treated better. That's why I was talking about earlier, where like it's so important for us to work on ourselves first before we are in a relationship. You're already in a relationship, I'm not saying break up, but I'm saying, hey, maybe still seek professional help, or like start on your healing journey and see sort of like what you discover. If your partner is um serious about continuing to be in a relationship with you, maybe they'll, join your journey as well. Communication is huge. Like as we saw earlier, like um if you don't have communication, it's just so, like, those movies that are kind of like, it's just because if they would have just, like, the two characters would have just talked, like, it would just, everything would have been so much better. But because they were like, explain this to me, and then they're like, well, it is because I don't care what you're doing, you just betrayed me, blah 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 blah, like, and they just, wow, I got so dramatic there. Then it becomes a miscommunication, right? Like maybe the person was just kind of passing by, and then somebody bumped into them. I don't know what the situation is. But if we don't have clear communication, then it just makes it so much more difficult. But these are things that we are not taught how to do. Like nobody teaches us how to communicate better. We kind of learn as we grow up, like what things to say, when not to say certain things. At school, sometimes we kind of learn how to express ourselves a little bit better, but still, it's not. We could all use a really refresher course on how to have communication. Yes, there's also it can be very toxic if you enter into a relationship without fully understanding what you need or what you want from the relationship. It can become very toxic. They changed. They weren't like that when I met them, and I'm like, yeah, but how long were you actually, like, acquainted with them before you started the relationship? Like, did you actually know them? And people change. Like, I am not the person I used to be 10 years ago. I'm not the person I used to be 20 years. I am so old. But anyway, yes, there are you kind of have to have an understanding of what you want from your partner, what kind of partner you want. This is something that I talk to on the side, my actual paid job. I get, which I took a day off today to do this, so please donate. It will be very much appreciated. So we got a question here. How important is it to have a grown-up or grow up seeing a relationship in a two-parent household? I think it really depends. If it's like a toxic relationship, you were probably better off having parents who were divorced. That's something that I talk to the people that I work with a lot, and I say, hey, yes, a lot of people, they have this idea, especially in Latino, Hispanic families. There's this idea of like, we're together for the kids, and I'm like, I think it's worse for the kids to be at home knowing how much you hate each other. It's better to have like a two different households when the parents like are feeling better, they have their own space, they're able to dedicate more time. Because so I do a lot of the presentations that I ended up doing, actually they were so good for like my own growth as a mental health provider. So again, like it's about building a community, right? So I share all my information, people share their wisdom with me, I learn, they learn, we all win. Anyway, point being is that a lot of parents say things like, I feel bad leaving my kids, or I just don't want them to grow up like doing X, Y, and Z. One of the presentations that I tend to get the most people to come is when I talk about how to teach your kids emotions, like how to identify and talk about their emotions. And the first thing that I say is like, you can't teach your kids something you don't know. Okay, so if you don't know how to express your own emotions in a healthy way, you can't teach it to your kid, because your kid is gonna learn from what they see and not from what you say. And I don't know how many of you grew up hearing your parents say something along the lines of like, pay attention to what I say, not what I do. Yeah, but you do that thing like 20 times a day, and you say the thing once a week. So like, I learn by looking, right? Like mirror neurons. That's how we all learn how to like talk, how to to walk, how to do a lot of things. Um, very the same thing, right? If you grow up in a house, and that's kind of what happens in toxic relationships. If you grew up surrounded by toxic relationship, that's all you know. Even though your partner might treat you a tiny bit better than the relationship your parents had or other family members around you had, it doesn't necessarily make it a better relationship. um, so I think it all again, it all depends. If it's a super mega healthy relationship that the parents have, it's great for the kids to grow up seeing that in the household. But if parents are miserable and they hate each other and constantly fighting, it's probably better they just separate. It will be better for everyone involved, because parents can't be there for their kids if they can't be there for themselves. And this is the same thing in a relationship. If you don't know how to value yourself, if you don't know how to ask for the things that you need, the things that you want, if you don't really know what kind of relationship you want to be in or what you expect from your partner, because sometimes we get, if I ask someone like, oh, well, what are you looking for in a partner? It's usually like for them to be beautiful or handsome, or to be kind, to do this and that. And it's just very superficial sort of things. And I'm like, yeah, but what more beyond that? Like, how do you want them to treat you? Like, how do they do you want them to be ambitious when it comes to their career? Did you want them to have hobbies? Like, those are all things that are very important to like their wellness, like individually, but also as a couple. Because if you are with someone who needs to be with you 24/7, that is a sign that maybe seeking professional assistance would be highly, highly recommended. Because I think we all need to be okay being alone. Not all the time, of course, but we need to be able to go out with our friends without bringing our partner along and have fun, and let our partner go and have fun. There has to be that trust, right? There has to be that respect of, I trust you to go out and your friends and like make decisions, essentially, right? And like be accountable for their actions, right? Kind of got sidetracked. But okay, so the key things that we need in a healthy relationship is mutual respect, open communication, trust and accountability, support, and balance. And when I say balance, I don't necessarily mean 50-50, because there's a lot of relationships out there where it's like 70-30. And if that works for the couple, that's great, right? I don't have to go in there and be like, well, it's not 50-50, so your relationship is totally toxic. No. If it works for them, if they both okay with it, then fantastic. Yeah. I think this is where I'm supposed to talk about healthy relationships, and then I just never do. So yeah, I mean, I can go on and on and on and give you guys like a bunch of information in addition, but I think for the most part, we all know what it means to be in a, at least we can identify with other people. If you're not completely sure if you are able to identify a toxic or a healthy relationship for yourself, then go see a health provider, like a mental health provider, and be like, hey, I just want to explore to see if I understand what I'm getting into or what I want. I just want to build the skills in order to be a good partner for my future or current partner. And that would be a great first step. Okay, so here is a relationship that is so healthy and so freaking cute. So that's Millie, and that is Moxxie, right? And they have that relationship where they like immediately talk, they connect, they talk, they communicate with each other, and it's so healthy. They have such a deep understanding of each other, of each other's needs. They respect each other's spaces. It's such a cute relationship. So I mean, you haven't seen it yet, I highly recommend you guys check out Helluva Boss. It is free on YouTube, so no excuses. Wait, I spend a lot of time talking about like healthy relationships. I don't know, what is it? I don't want to beat a dead horse. um. Oh, I think. Oh yeah, the next one. No. It's so ugly. Well, you can't really see this, but if you guys donate and we're able to pay for like Squarespace or like another website builder, you will be able to see this, because I have a PDF that you guys can download, and I will happily give it to you guys, except I don't know how to put it on the website. So having a website builder will be like really good. But here's some questions like for you to sort of like ask yourself. I'm gonna have to sort of like read them out. It's kind of hard to see. But it's like, do you know what your communication style is? Do you know how you communicate? For example, my ADHD brain sometimes, I'm pretty sure you guys have noticed, when I talk, I use the word like a lot. Sometimes I don't finish a sentence because another one sort of like came in. I tend to interrupt people. I need to talk with my hands, or I sometimes communicate a lot better if I can just draw what I'm trying to say, because otherwise, and I do that with my clients all of the time. And I'm like, I don't know how to say it, so let me just draw. And my drawing skills are the worst, but that's a better way for me to communicate what I'm trying to say. I communicate a lot better when I am telling stories or giving examples of something, as opposed to just talk about the concept itself. So that's kind of what I mean. Like, do you know how you communicate? Do you know like ways that you can improve? Do you know what your partner's communication style is? Do you know what they can improve? And I'm not saying, because I feel like a lot of the times people are like, yeah, you need to improve your communication. You never talk about them. Like, it just becomes this like just super petty fight between couples most of the time. And I'm like, no, I think you need to step back and think about this in terms of, I guess, more logically. And you can't be like, well, that one time like 2 years ago you did X, Y, and Z, and then so therefore you don't know how to communicate. And I'm like, no, you can't do that. Like, again, like if you're not feeling well, or like you're very upset, or like you're having a stressful day, maybe not have these conversations, or not have, do not take time to reflect on this until you're feeling a little bit better. Are you comfortable asking? Oh, you know what I could have done? I guess I could put some of these questions, or all of these questions, on our newsletter. So you can sign up. Maybe I'll do that for next month. I think the December newsletter already went out. If you didn't receive it, then feel free to sign up for our newsletter. You can do that so on the website. But again, like, how comfortable are you asking? Like, do you feel asking for help? Like, do you feel safe expressing your emotions and your like concerns with your partner? I think it's important for you both to talk about what your boundaries are, like just personal ones, and when like in terms of our relationship. I can't really see. How much do you actually trust your partner? Because I feel like a lot of people who are no, I trust them. And I'm like, really? You trust them to take care of the kids? You trust them to like be able to reach out to you if like something's going on with them? Like, you trust them to like be there for you when you need them? I think we don't think about like all these like little tiny scenarios, but those are the tiny scenarios that we experience on a day-to-day basis a lot more often than the I don't know, trust them to like cover for you if you like commit a crime or something. Don't do that. And then thinking about what's the evidence? So if you trust them, why do you trust them? Have they given you a reason for to be for you to trust them? Have you given them a reason to trust you? Or has it been this sort of like jealous, like, who were you with? What are you doing? Like, what's going on? Like, why aren't you answering my text messages like all that fast? That's not very helpful. So again, I think this over here said that I do have like this like relationship question like worksheet that I want to put on the website soon, but we don't have any money to pay for Squarespace because I had to pay for StreamYard. And actually, I had to pay that out of my own pocket because we didn't have any money as a nonprofit. So again, your donations are highly, highly appreciated.